A Saudi cleric is at the centre of controversy for his surprising ruling about the niqab, the veil worn by Muslim women in public. National Public Radio reports that Ahmed Aziz Al-Hamadi responded to a Saudi woman who asked whether Islam allowed her to post a picture of her face on social media. Al-Hamadi answered on Twitter saying the veil is not obligatory. When people asked whether that also applied to his wife, he took the controversy one step further by appearing with her on a popular Saudi television program. Yeah. Now, for more on this, we're joined by Deborah Amos. She's reporting on this story for NPR and joins me now from Istanbul. Deborah, thanks for your time today. The religious scholar was the head of a group officially known as the Committee for Promotion of Virtue and Prevention of Vice, which is pretty much the religious police. Describe the reaction when he issued the ruling that the veil worn over a woman's face in Saudi Arabia is not obligatory.
It was a firestorm. He got 10,000 tweets within hours, some of them congratulating him, some of them threatening him with death. He opened up a real, genuine debate in the country. The top religious authority said that he was misguided. There were many women in the capital who said hooray. Many of them want to be able to not wear the niqab. He said it wasn't obligatory. He didn't say that you couldn't. If you choose to, it is fine. But it has really opened up a debate. There are some in Saudi who suggest that the government actually is supporting this debate so that people can decide whether they want to wear the niqab or not.
We often hear debates across the Western world about bans on the Islamic veil for women, not just the niqab, but also the burqa and the hijab. The Quran calls, of course, for both men and women to cover and be modest, although Islamic scholars seem to have very diverse opinions on this.
They did, and this was all argued with Islamic legal justification. And so this religious scholar made his case about what it says in the Quran about whether a woman has to cover her face. And he said that he found evidence that suggests that it's not obligatory. So this is really a very detailed religious debate. Now, it's been pointed out to me that, yes, he was the head of the religious police in Mecca, but this is a city where you have thousands, millions of Muslims who come from all over the world every year for the pilgrimage. So he's seen different Muslims and how they address these issues, and that may have shaped his views. Certainly we saw that his appearance on television, he was very comfortable with his wife appearing. She was with a headscarf and she had the traditional black robe on, but she appeared with makeup. And there are some photographs of her before the broadcast begins. She has some very fashionable sunglasses on. She has a designer handbag. So he was signaling that this is okay for Saudi women, and many of them applauded that.
So do you think this move signals a change for the future of the very conservative Saudi Arabia, or is the veil worn across the face an entrenched part of the culture for most of the country?
You know, we're already seeing women in the capital and in Jeddah who aren't wearing the niqab. Young women who've been to college who are beginning to get jobs in the workplace where it's somewhat impractical to wear a face veil. And it's a tough discussion that they have with their families. It's usually their fathers and their brothers who decide if they feel comfortable with their daughters not covering their faces, or their wives for that matter. And so we are seeing change in Saudi. I think ever calling Saudi Arabia a liberal country is going a bit far. In fact, there are two young women who have been in jail since November 30th for challenging the driving ban. Saudi Arabia is the only country in the world that bans women from driving, and these two young women were challenging that ban. They drove in from the UAE on the border with Saudi Arabia. They were arrested on the border. Amnesty International is looking into that case. To be jailed for driving really gives you a sense of how conservative Saudi still is. But opening this discussion about the face veil is actually a move.
So obviously this controversy started on Twitter. How do you think social media is challenging the cultural norms?
You know, this is a country with a population of somewhere around 70% under the age of 35. There's a youth bulge there, and social media has changed that generation. Saudi Arabia is now the fastest growing Twitter market in the world. That is the Saudis' preferred media. It's mostly in Arabic. A lot of it is a religious discussion. Some of it is groups finding each other, finding some common thing. There's comedy that you can find on Facebook and Twitter. Saudi Arabia's society, certainly the younger generation, is changing. And social media is an engine for some of that change.
Deborah Amos in Istanbul, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
You're at the International Desk. Coming up, the Pope holds Christmas prayers at the Vatican. We'll have his message to Christians right around the world. And in India, a monkey desperately tries to save a companion on a train track. The extraordinary rescue coming up.